probably the most winningest player in team sport history. Bill Russell, Mr. 11 championships, was called home on yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Monday. Guys, he was, just from what a lot of things I've watched and listening to older players, he was ahead of his time. He was, really one of the first players that, were blocking shots and, just that all around offensive guy and that defensive guy. But, what a lot of people really know him for is what he did off the court. The summit, with him and Muhammad Ali and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and James Brown, just all of those guys. I mean Jim Brown. I'm sorry. Excuse me. All those guys being able to come together, as a unit, for something that's bigger than them. You gotta commend that man for that. And I was even reading a report about him and Martin Luther King were very close. And when I want to say when he did his "I Have a Dream" speech, Martin Luther King wanted him to come up on stage with him, and he was like, I haven't done enough yet. And just for you to you know have that kind of mindset really speaks to the man. Because how many people would be like, all right, how many people wouldn't try to steal that shine or that light in that moment? A lot of times, that's how people are. But that's all I got to say on it, guys. What you think about it, John?
Yeah, I mean, just to see how active he was even these last couple of years, man. Every time the NBA had even the any kind of event where they needed a name, like they were like, "Can we get Bill Russell?" You know what I mean? Because I knew he was something that had something special. Like even for kids nowadays, still you got to know Bill Russell. Like,
Yeah,
and they do. Like kids down, a lot of these kids don't know their NBA history, and a lot of the older guys don't know the younger guys. But it works both ways. But everyone knows Bill Russell, man, and they would drag him out for anything, and he would show, man, that dude, and he'd come out, and I mean, he'd make appearance after appearance. I actually was joking to my wife earlier this year about like, because like I don't know who it was, but I saw a YouTube thing, whatever. I didn't click on it, but it was like Fox or CNN or whatever, and they were dragging him out to do political stuff. I'm like, man, leave the guy alone. Like, let him
mm,
enjoy his time, man. Like, y'all dragging him out for everything because they knew the power behind his name. Like, they knew, if Bill Russell says this and agrees with us, then we must be right. You know what I mean? Like that. That's the kind of that were attached to his name.
yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, I was, I applaud like all the things that he did in his younger life and stuff, and then I applaud that, but man, they didn't need to be doing this to him now. But the NBA stuff, man, it was really cool, like just to see like how I mean, because there's a lot of guys who aren't able to appear to these things, and so just to see how healthy and active he was even here at the end was just really fun, and just to I guess just to have more memories to remember him, because when he did his speeches and stuff when he was younger, he was known for being a somewhat comedic guy, and could make the crowd laugh, and stuff like that, and just having all these different memories. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and point to one or something, uh, but yeah, I mean, it shows how great and how much power was behind his name and what it meant.
yeah. Go ahead, Walt.
Yeah, I mean, just pretty much basing off everything what you guys just said, just him being a leader on and off the basketball court, especially being off the basketball court. Him being a civil rights activist. You know what I'm saying? So, like Nico was saying, marching with Dr. King and being standing alongside with Muhammad Ali. That's pretty much those are all greats and legends. Just based off of what they've done in their history and whatever sport or whatever they've done for their sport and the US of A, I should say. So yeah, just his longevity, like John was saying, just pretty much the guy has pretty much seen it all though. Like just being from Dr. King and seeing Jordan, Bird, Magic, and now LeBron and all these new guys, it's just crazy just how much he's seen and done for the NBA, and like I said, off the field, I mean off the court as well. So he's been pretty much winning, since his college days, But me, I make this argument sometimes, and not every day, but you can go down and say he was a GOAT for real. 11 rings. That's everybody always want to base everything off of rings. That's just me personally. He got 11, and ain't nobody topping that in my opinion. So
100%. And you gotta
um,
think, bro. He won. He had like LeBron like numbers. Like he went to like 11 finals in his first 12 years, and he won the first 11.
yeah, and you know what's so crazy? He never really celebrated those championships with Boston though, because of course back in those times, Boston was going through those racist times, I should say. But that's a topic for another day. But just the fact of him winning so much for a city that really didn't love him so much, that just goes shows that how much humble and how much he still was just like, hey, I'm winning for this city, but at the same time, it's more than just that. So it's definitely all due respect to him, man, and it's definitely we lost a legend yesterday. And if, like you said, like John said, if you don't know who Bill Russell is, definitely go look up some highlights. What the highlight that really got me though is something that they posted, I want to say a few days ago, of him actually blocking somebody over another defender though. Like that shit was crazy. Like I ain't never seen nothing like that before, bro. Like that was crazy as hell though. Even though like they always say like the times like he was always the tallest in his times, but at the end of the day, basketball is basketball, bro. He was winning.
Right.
So
You still got to go out there and play.
exactly.
And during that time, I want to say one of his, won't say rival, but really the second best player during that time was Wilt Chamberlain.
Right.
And nothing against Wilt, but he wasn't winning like that. So you can't then say, oh well, he had it easy. Well, I mean, Wilt was 7-1,
Yeah.
and he wasn't able to win as many. So when people say that, it's like, bro, you can't predict when you're born, what time you play. You just play when you
Balled
can.
out. He
Yeah, and
balled
do
out.
what you do.
Was that?
Go ahead, John.
No,
You
I
got
agree
any?
with all that. I mean, yeah, like back then, players didn't really. You kind of all not unanimously, but a lot of players just retired with the team they were drafted by. So back then, it did depend on like who drafted the best team, and the Celtics were like the Spurs before the Spurs, man. Like they just drafted like all like I mean, the whole team is practically in the Hall of Fame now. Like so
Next
it
year,
was it was it was literally I would say probably like it was for Wilt it was probably like LeBron cat with the first Cavs versus the Spurs every single year, so it's kind of unfair for Wilt, but at the same time I mean still that takes leadership and something to build something special in Boston. I mean I kind of wonder if Boston wouldn't even be a powerhouse in basketball today if it weren't for the early years that I don't want to say getting lucky, but I mean you kind of get lucky when drafting, and so getting lucky getting Bill Russell and a couple other guys like because they built such a strong fan base that the NBA almost has to keep Boston relevant. You know what I mean? If Boston isn't relevant, NBA is not the same product.
Mhm.
Um, Same with the Lakers. If they're not, if they're not winning, NBA the product itself begins to show flaws and stuff. And so like that's all you can say. All that's credit to Bill Russell. I mean that because that fan base is so strong today because of a guy that they like Walt said didn't even really like. I mean, and again, I don't mind going on the trail. Like you talk about Jackie Robinson, man. Jackie Robinson was not even liked in his own city. They built him like a statue like 5 years ago, man. Like I don't. I'm being a little facetious, but it wasn't long ago. Like the dude played like forever ago, and they just built him his statue finally. Like
That's crazy.
so, it was Pasadena or whatever, and
Mhm.
so like California is supposed to be so progressive and all, and they just now finally acknowledge Jackie Robinson. So,
Yeah.
I, to be able to build something for fans who don't even like you is something special, and then to Nico's point, to be able to self reflect and say I haven't done enough whether he had or not to that point, that's debatable. I'm not gonna get into that. But like that's something we miss today is people are unable to self-reflect. Like we live in this
Yeah.
time, and I grew up in church, man. Like people a lot of times were like, "Well, I'm better than that person. I'm not good, but I'm better than that person." And like it's like, no, man, just think what you can do better today. Make someone's life better today. And I feel like that's something Bill Russell did, man. He every day he tried to make someone's life better, and that's why he was so active even at the end because he just didn't ever take days off. Like he was always trying to do something better, and like we can all learn something from that.